Yeah, thanks so much, George. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining me today, especially after what I'm sure was a long day at school with the students. So I know what that feels like at the end of the day. So I really do appreciate you joining me. As George mentioned, my name's Becky Patel. I am the head of early education for Tech She Can, the charity. I was, however, a bit of background about myself. I was a primary school teacher for 8 years and a secondary school teacher in England for about 2.5 years. So an ex-teacher, and I have worked for Tech She Can now for about 3 years. So I'm probably giving my age away a little bit there as well. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Tech She Can, the charity, really briefly at the start. And then the most interesting bit to you all as teachers will be our resources. I'm going to explain all the things that we offer to teachers, schools, students and parents, and all the things that you can access. So Tech She Can, our vision as a charity is for women to be equal members in creating and developing the new tech business products and services that shape our world so that technology works for us all. So at the heart of everything we do is encouraging more girls and women to pursue technology. Our journey is that we started in 2017. PwC, the Women in Tech leader there is called Sheridan Ash. And in March 2017, she was in charge of recruiting more women into the technology careers at PwC. And she produced this large piece of research, which was called Time to Close the Gender Gap. She wanted to find out why she was struggling, and I'm sure you're all acutely aware of this, but why she was struggling to recruit women into the technology roles at PwC. And she found some really key things there that perhaps other people hadn't found at the time, which was that only 3% of the people, of the women that they interviewed, these were women A-levels and early degree, only 3% of them actually said that they would consider a future career in technology, which is obviously really shocking. And we wanted to find out why. And actually some of that, which I'll talk about later, one of the big pieces of research were a lot of those women wanted a job that did good for the world. So they wanted to be teachers, doctors, nurses, work for charities, and they didn't see a place where technology could do that for them. They didn't see an example of tech for good. So that's just one piece of research, which I'll talk about later because that's how we've intertwined that within our resources. I then came on board in 2018. Since then, we've piloted and trialed all of the resources that I'll be talking to you about. And really exciting, last year, I keep forgetting it's 2022. So last year, we actually became a fully fledged charity in our own right. So Tech She Can used to be a group of organisations all working together, and now we are a charity. We have 212 organisations that signed up to the charter. So where we get our funding and support from are all of those different organisations. That's from very large banks such as NatWest and RBS, and right down to small independent charities and startups. So these people join us, they join up as signatories, and they support us both financially and in their expertise areas as well. So that's how the charity is funded, and that's how we run. It's because all of our signatories, all of those organisations are just as passionate about diversity in technology and about getting a diverse range of employees to join their organisations. The charity Tech She Can have three main focus group pathways, like focus groups. We have an Enriched Education work stream where there's a group of us working on the education sector. We have a group of us working on creating pathways into roles, so things like apprenticeships. And we have a group and a team working on influence and change, talking to people within the government, people writing the curriculums, and areas like that. So there's three different areas that we work on. The one I'm going to focus on today is our Enriched Education piece and what we do there. Again, I'm sure I'm talking to an audience that knows a lot about this, but the reason, the why we actually exist is only 10% of female leaders are in technology. So it's still it's really, really imbalanced, females to males. Only 15% of females are taking computer science degrees. And this one on the far right, for me, is really important as a teacher. Over 70% of the children that we're teaching right now in 10 years' time, so I'm talking about those children just leaving primary school, for example, will work in a job that doesn't currently exist in its format. Because of how fast technology is advancing, the jobs that we are preparing them for, in many parts, are actually unknown, because what that landscape, what that job will look like is unknown. And that's what we use a lot of our resources to, is to try and open the children's minds to that. And the demand for business for technology skills is increasing. Sorry, I'm just going to turn my watch off because it keeps beeping. The demand from business for technology skills is reaching a critical level. So there's more and more companies coming on board saying we need these students coming through. We need a diverse range of students coming through with these specific digital and tech skills. So in comes Tech We Can. So I was just explaining to George earlier the difference between the two. So we have the Tech She Can charity, but all of the resources that we create for students in school are called Tech We Can because they're for both boys and girls. And with an inclusive mindset, we wanted to make sure that we don't go in a class where there are also boys in that class and say we are doing a Tech She Can lesson, because straight away you are alienating them. So all of our resources have an underlying theme of lots of female role models in them, not all female role models, and going off a lot of that research that I just spoke that PwC did right at the start, so examples of tech for good and things like that. But the resources have been successfully delivered and are designed for both boys and girls. So that's why we have the Tech She Can charity who create the Tech We Can resources. So hopefully that helps with any confusion between the two names. So why is it important? Why have we created Tech We Can? I've put into there, timetables are already so saturated, so why add Tech We Can into this? I'm conscious as an ex-teacher that every bit of training you go to, someone says, it's super important you implement this assessment policy. It's really important that we end all lessons with this activity. Everything just seems really important. And I didn't want to be cliche, but I just wanted to say why I feel adding these kind of elements into your lessons are really important. So everything we do for our students aims to help support and prepare them for have a happy and successful future. And as I mentioned earlier, that future is unknown. So for me and the charity, it's really important that we open the children's eyes to the fact that that future can change quite rapidly because of technology and start preparing them for that. And I believe this careers advice and opening their mind to the world that's out there for them is really, really important, or help them put into place and perspective why they're learning certain things in their lessons. The children and students can't aspire to be what they don't know exists. So they can't aspire to be a software developer. They can't aspire to be an augmented reality designer. They can't aspire to be these things if they don't know in the first place that these roles exist. So particularly for the younger children, when you ask them what they want to be, they will name jobs that they see in their everyday lives. So they will name people like teachers and doctors and nurses and mechanics because they become across those. Unless you've got someone working in technology in your family, you don't come across a software developer or a VR designer. So it's our job to show them that these roles are out there. The computing curriculum and use of technology is advancing and has made significant developments over the past few years, but the world of work is going even quicker and the technology that we're using is going even quicker, so we're trying to close that gap. A large percentage of the students we teach today, as I mentioned earlier, will work in jobs that don't exist. No matter the future career path for the children that they choose, technology will play a significant role in that. And rather than simply be users of technology, we want the diverse range of children and students that we are teaching to be the designers and creators of this tech, which is why if you're a computer teacher, why that's obviously your subject and what you're teaching the children is so super important. So our mission for Tech We Can, all of the Tech We Can resources that we make have this mission, which is to inspire more children to see the possibility that a career in technology can bring. We have lots of partners and signatories of Tech We Can who deliver things like the coding workshops and extra resources for your computing lessons or to put in things like that. We don't sit in that space, so we don't teach them the actual computing skills. You all do an amazing job of that. What we sit in that space is that aspirational piece. And this picture on this slide is, for me, sums up everything we're about. This was a girl in P8. So right at the start, I basically asked them, I said, could you just draw for me what a worker in technology looks like? And this was her quote. She said, Miss, it's like those fat white guys that sit in their mum's basement, have lots of Coke cans, loads of screens around them and code every day. She said, oh, he's pretty boring. He works in an office, he's really antisocial. And that was her view of what someone in technology worked and looked like and was like as a person. I think she'd been watching far too many movies, to be honest. And then after about 4 of the lesson packs that we did with that class, I asked them to draw it again. I said, right, I'm going to ask you exactly the same thing, guys. I want you to draw for me and describe a worker in technology. She drew herself, mixed race with afro hair in a super cape working as a social media manager for Facebook. So straight away, she said to me, this is what she said, Mum's a nail technician. Dad was a mechanic. She was like, I knew of some jobs, miss, but I didn't even know like that you could do what you told me I could do. She had the gift of the gab, to be honest, and she was great at English. So actually being a social media or a marketing manager for a company would be an amazing role for her and something she's now aspiring to be. So this is what Tech We Can is about. It's not the physical digital technology skills. It's changing the children's opinions so they can see themselves working in technology roles and they can see a space for themselves in tech. So we offer 4 different resources that I'm going to take you through today. We offer lesson packs, which we have currently in 650 schools and 1,300 home users. We have online lessons, so video lessons that I'm going to take you through that you can access. We have animations coming up very soon for the much younger children. And we have Tech We Can champions, volunteers that can come out into your school either in person or virtually. So I'm just going to take you through now each one of those different resources and how they can be used in the classroom. So our lesson packs, these were our original offering prior to any lockdowns happened. So these were all the way back in 2019, I think we launched them. So we have 14 full lesson packs with explanations of each activity and example questions to ask the children. So fully comprehensive plan. I know it's super little, but they actually look like that picture over in, there's a Tech for History one there. And why I want to show you that is that that's what our plans look like. The reason each different part of the plan is numbered is because I wanted to make them super flexible. I know that if you did all of those activities, it takes about 2 hours. But I know that you might not have your class for 2 hours. Anything can happen. Fire alarms go off. Plans need to be flexible. And when you haven't made the plan yourself as a teacher, it's much harder to do that. So I wanted to build in flexibility into this. So some teachers, for example, say, oh, Becky, actually, I did 1, 3, 7, and 11 because I really liked those. They really suited my class. So they're basically they're related, but independent little tasks or activities or group work or discussion. So you can pick and choose out of the plan and be flexible to your class and what it is that suits them. On the side, they have all the links into the curriculum. I have a whole document as well linking this into the Scottish Careers Education and also into the Scottish curriculum. So I've got a whole document, separate document, showing you how this links into the curriculum. I think a really important point to note here is I have linked this far wider than the computing curriculum. So one of the main aims of Tech We Can is to show the children, actually show history teachers, music teachers, art teachers, geography teachers, and so it's not just usually falls to the science and computing teachers to talk to the children about tech roles. We actually want to expand this much beyond and make it oh gosh, I forgot my words, cross-curricular throughout a school. So this has been most successfully delivered, for example, when the history teacher said, oh yes, I'll teach tech for history to them. And the geography teacher said, oh, I'm going to teach tech for the environment, all about the planet. And the art teacher said, I'm going to teach tech for entertainment. So actually you spread it out. And what's really great about that is the children also get a teacher that's really passionate in that subject talking to them. But equally, that teacher gets to know about some of the advancing roles in their area of expertise too, which you don't always have time to research or to know about. These lesson packs are aimed at children 9 to 14. We are purposefully crossing between that primary and secondary period because there's lots of careers advice for the children in like S1, S2, S3 above. We're trying to get down to that primary period too and also get to the children before they get to secondary school. I think my main point there is when the children get to secondary, they obviously go from having a primary teacher where they're taught everything usually by the same person to secondary where they split off into separate areas. And what I seem to see is they then start to choose and think that they must specialize in certain areas or start to have the favorite subjects. And we're trying to show them how, yes, you're being taught by some amazing specialists now, but actually there's so many interconnecting things. Computing can connect to history. Computing can connect to English. Computing can connect to art. We're trying to make these links that they wouldn't usually make. Um, the fact that it's delivered by teachers and it was delivered by parents in lockdown expands your career knowledge also. They feature a diverse range of role models. We have probably about, I'd say, 75% women, 25% men in the lessons, trying to tip that balance again so they see more women in those roles. Actually, I've never had a boy say that to me or notice that, which is fantastic. They're mapped to multiple areas of the curriculum, like I said. Each lesson also comes with a 10-minute long tutorial video. It's just me talking like this, explaining how I would deliver it. And that's for the people, not if you're comfortable with tech and you're a teacher that's comfortable with that, that's great. But for parents or maybe teachers that aren't so sure about this and aren't so sure about what they're talking about, it's a nice reassurance for them of the main points that would be covered in that lesson. And they're basically downloadable packs where you get the presentation, principal resources, any extra activities, all come down in a zip file onto your computer. And every lesson also has a choice of full, mid, or low tech versions. This is because we know that the technology actually available in your schools varies really greatly. Some of you might have one-to-one iPads for the children, which is amazing. In that case, go for the full tech lesson plans, because in those we encourage the children to use things like augmented reality apps and to see how that kind of technology is working for doctors or for sport. Or you may be in a school where you only really have the computer suite, you don't have anything else, or the children can only really research, then you can go for the low-tech version. So we've tried to make a version of each lesson pack to ensure that it doesn't matter if you can't get access to the computing suite that day, or if you've got one-to-one iPads or even iPads in groups, then great, this is how you could use it in the lesson. So they are our first offering, the lesson packs, which are delivered by you guys to the students in school. Next up, we have our online lessons. So when COVID hit, we realised obviously the children aren't in school with the teachers anymore. And a few parents, well, 1,300 of them, felt confident enough to teach the lesson packs, which was amazing. But we still wanted to engage with the children. So we went online and we did 10 consecutive weeks during lockdown of online lessons where we spoke to the children about tech for food, tech for space, tech for sport, tech for retail. Again, what we were trying to show them here is your passion, guys, might be in sport. Let me show you how sport and technology could lead to a future career for you. Your passion might be in retail and clothing and fashion. Let me show you all the ways technology is advancing in this area, and let me show you all the people that are working behind it. Tech for food, that was probably one of my favorite. If you're into design and technology, food technology, or just eating and cooking food, then let me show you all of the really cool uses of technology, how technology is advancing in this area, and all the people that work there. What we're trying to show them is the tech skills, so obviously their computing skills, science skills, how that could relate to a current passion that they have that they wouldn't usually relate to that. They're viewed both at home and in school. So teachers have used them in assemblies to start lessons off, things like that. They're 20 to 40 minutes in length. We're actually going to make the new ones a bit shorter than that. So after feedback for some teachers, we're going to try and make our newer ones like 10, 15 minutes. So they can be fit into much smaller slots. There's a variety of topics, like I just said, and all of the lessons are followed by a creative challenge. So we always set the children a challenge. Lots of them wanted to do something to follow up, or where can I go and learn more, or I really love that, can I find out more? So every lesson's followed by a creative challenge, which is optional, but we've had a lot of children submit those to us. And those creative challenges are not dependent on them having technology at home. So it might be, for example, designing a computer game character if it was tech for fun. It might be designing a way of somebody with a disability to access sport so they could draw that. The computer game character, for example, we had a child in like S2 give us a design that pretty much he'd obviously done on a piece of design software, and it was amazing. It could have gone into Fortnite tomorrow. And we had a child draw us, I think she was much younger, on a piece of paper, a giraffe that shot jelly beans, and she painted it. So the children differentiate those creative challenges themselves. We've purposefully made them open so everyone feels like they can do it, and teachers can set it as follow-up or as homework. Now that we have access to our studio, which we never had before because of COVID restrictions, our latest lesson, which is actually Tech for the Planet, is available on that link there, and I can share this PowerPoint, and hopefully George can send it out to everyone. But our latest lesson is called Tech for the Planet. It was released just a week or so after COP, obviously, because that was something everybody was talking about. And again, that's a brand new format. So the online lessons that you'll see that are on the website will have me sat here actually in the toy room because it was at home and it was all we could do. They're all edited though. But our brand new lessons from now on will be in the studio. So please do watch the Tech for Planet and let us know what you think about that, because that's our brand new format and our brand new style of lessons. So we have the lesson packs and the online lessons. Oh, and here is just some of those creative challenges that I was talking to you about. So some of the children that submitted them. Again, the online lessons are for around 9 to 14-year-olds. But so I originally designed them like that, but during lockdown, we actually had children much younger join in as well. So the child at the top there, I think she was only 6, and she created that hole in the wall poster, which was after Tech for Manufacturing and Engineering. And on this slide, so they're suggested for children aged 9 to 14, both the lesson packs and the online lessons. But have a look at them and have a watch, because people have used them for slightly younger and slightly older children. So I had in England an A-level class like watching one of the lessons as well. So I think they they can be adapt, depends on the class, depends on the level of class, depends whether you think it's suitable. But please watch it, and I think don't rule it out for older or younger children. You judge as the specialist in your students whether you think it's appropriate. This is just some of the feedback that we had from parents and from the children. And I was quite nervous that they did this, but at the end of each online lesson when we were live, they put like an Uber 5-star rating, and 96% of the children rated it 4 or 5 stars out of 5. So I was pretty relieved that that's what they rated, because I'd be really nervous about doing that in an actual lesson. I can't even imagine them having like things to click on the way out to see whether they liked my lesson or not. And really exciting is that we have Tech We Can animations coming very soon. So actually February, we're going to release our first one. Basically what we're trying to show here is everything I've just told you, but for the much younger children, so for 5 to 8-year-olds. Because we know the gender bias and their opinions of what they can and can't be when they're older, and whether tech or computing or science for them starts really young. So what these animations are is that's Katie and her dog called Tex. I hope you like my play on words there. And they go on adventures exploring different types of technology and then talking about the people that work there, but in a very simplistic way. So the first one is all about virtual reality, and Katie and Tex just explore what a virtual reality headset is, where it takes you, and then Katie sets the children a challenge of saying, right, people have actually drawn that. They're called VR designers. Why don't you draw for me where you would go if you could put on a VR headset? So we're going to release a series of those covering lots of different types of technology. We've got one coming up for robotics, another one for autonomous shops, hopefully one for money and banking, and how a lot of the children said to me, how when you swipe, your mummy swipes the card at the shop, does money actually get off the card? So it's really interesting how their mind works. So we're going to try and make animations to explain these pieces of technology, but also link them into their careers and their jobs. And then at the moment, we have a Tech She Can website and we have a Tech We Can website where you can access all of the resources and you have to log on. But actually, from February 2022, everything will be together on the Tech She Can site, and you won't have to log on. It'll all be open source. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. So in, gosh, what is like 4 weeks time. So it's the first week of February that we're launching this. Tech We Can won't exist as of the website. All of our resources will have come together, and that's because we've become the charity. We've now made our own website where we want all of the Tech We Can resources to be all in the same place as all of the Tech She Can information. So please do be aware that from February onwards, you won't have to log in or register to get the resources. It will all be open source. But right now, when you go on to Tech We Can, it's all free. I should have mentioned this before, actually. I always forget to say it because I assume none of this costs. All of the funding that we get and the support is from all the organisations that I mentioned earlier. None of this costs in any way to any of your schools or students. And then we have Tech Weekend Champions, which is fairly new. Because of COVID restrictions, we couldn't start this straight away and it came to a halt, but we can now start it back up again. So lots of those people who work in the organisations who support Tech She Can say to me, how can I get involved? I want to help. I want to inspire children to go into and students to come into the job that I've got. So we came up with Tech Weekend Champions, and they are volunteers who'd like to play their part in increasing the diversity of workers in the tech industry by using our resources, all of the resources I've just spoken to you about, but come into your school and deliver them either virtually, dependent on location, or in person. They have 4 different options available to them of how available to yourselves. Option 1 is that a champion comes into your school and does one of those full 2-hour lesson packs, or you can pick and choose alongside the champion which parts they do. Option 2 is that they come in and they watch the online lessons, so the recording of myself and the other teacher called Katie, and then they do the creative fun challenge with the children. Option 3 is that they deliver a 20 to 30-minute lesson based on one of the online lessons, and then they do the creative challenge with them. And option 4 that I've just actually piloted with a school last week, and it went really well, so we've decided to make this open, is an assembly where rather than a specialist area, so tech for food, tech for history, so lots of people, for example, say, we're doing sports week, it would actually be really cool for someone to come in and talk about sports careers, because that doesn't usually happen. Or we're doing a theme on the Romans, can you just come in and tell us how we know about the Romans, how technology is used? So we do a lot of that, and we have the specialist lessons in the different areas. But this assembly, which is currently available for primary school children, I'm going to work on a secondary school one, is a lot of different tech themes all together. So it's about a 30-minute assembly where we talk to the children all about the different areas of tech and just give them basically snippets of all of the different lessons. If you would like a champion to visit your school, if there's one near to you, obviously, they can come in person, but we have also trained the champions to deliver these virtually, so it doesn't matter on your location. If you just email info@techshecan.org, with obviously your name, how many children it's for, when you would like it, what option you would like, then that's great. What we're doing is then manually matching up the schools at the moment with the champions. They are STEM ambassadors too, so this is a partnership that we have with STEM ambassadors. So our Tech Weekend champions, we ask them to become qualified STEM ambassadors to make sure they've had their DBS check, but also that they've had some of the great training that STEM ambassadors give in how to communicate with children and how to present and what to and what not to do with children. So that's Tech Weekend Champions. So the 4 offerings are the lesson packs. I'm just going to go back, and I'm conscious that I do speak fast. So we've got the lesson packs that you deliver yourself and you can adapt, and they're around different themes. We have the online lessons, which are recorded video lessons that the children can either watch in school or at home, both of those for 9 to 14-year-olds. We have the animations coming for the much younger children, the 5 to 8-year-olds, coming very soon in February, so please do keep an eye out for that. And then we have Tech Weekend Champions, which are people that can come into your school, and they're also role models on site as well. So a lot of those sessions, when they deliver the lesson, they also can then do a Q&A with the children about their job in technology. I'm sorry, I've probably spoke really fast there, and I hope everybody's kept up. So Tech She Can, the charity, for more information about that, it's techshecan.org, where all of the resources will also be in February. But right now, the Tech We Can resources are found on techwecan.org. And the hashtags TechSheCan and TechWeCan on Twitter and LinkedIn, we're really active, so you can keep up to date with when we release new resources. You can have a look at those and they'll all be out. And then the new website is down at the bottom. And thank you so much if you're still online and still listening.